Belfast in 1909 was a city alive with ambition, and nowhere was that ambition more visible than inside the massive shipyard of Harland and Wolff. Every morning before sunrise, the gates clattered open and thousands of workers poured inside like a river of humanity, men with soot-covered faces, strong hands, and determined eyes. Above them towered the colossal steel frame of the Titanic, a ship so large that it seemed to challenge nature itself. Its ribs rose skyward like the bones of an ancient creature resurrected from the earth, and every clang of metal echoed as if shaping destiny. Thomas Andrews, the brilliant yet modest chief designer, walked through the busy yard with rolled blueprints under his arm. He paused often, studying every angle, every joint, every spark that flew from the riveters' hammers. The ship was his responsibility, his masterpiece, and also his burden. Workers greeted him with respect, knowing they were building something the world had never seen before. Andrews believed deeply that this giant would set a new standard for safety, comfort, and engineering. He often stood on the unfinished deck, letting the cool Irish wind brush against his face as he imagined passengers strolling under bright electric lamps, feeling secure aboard the strongest vessel ever made. Inside the workshops, the contrast was striking. Rough steel gave way to delicate craftsmanship. Carpenters carved elegant wooden decor for first-class cabins, polished mahogany panels, gold-trimmed mirrors, velvet-covered seats. Painters coated ceilings with soft cream colors, while electricians threaded wires that would power over 10,000 light bulbs. The grand staircase, though still incomplete, already looked like something from a royal palace. Every worker knew that this ship was not only a means of travel, but a statement to the world about human innovation. By 1911, the day of the Titanic's launch arrived. A crowd of more than 100,000 people gathered along the docks, waving handkerchiefs and cheering as the massive hull began its slow descent into the water. The moment the ship touched the sea, a wave of pride surged through the crowd. The newspapers quickly spread the message: the Titanic was unsinkable. Engineers boasted of watertight compartments, reinforced hull plates, and advanced mechanisms. No one had built anything like it before. It seemed impossible for such a giant to fail. As the ship floated proudly in the harbor, workers hugged each other in celebration. Andrews stood silently, watching the Titanic rest upon the water for the first time. He felt a deep sense of achievement, mixed with a faint whisper of worry that only an engineer could understand. But the world did not see that whisper. They saw only a shining symbol of progress. The Titanic represented confidence, wealth, and the belief that mankind had mastered the oceans. Yet behind the triumph, the truth remained unchanged. The sea always had the final word, and no amount of pride could silence its ancient power. The night of April 14, 1912, unfolded like a deceptive dream over the North Atlantic. The sea was unnaturally calm, so smooth that sailors later described it as a sheet of black glass. Stars glittered brightly above, but the moon was absent, leaving the ocean cloaked in shadows. The Titanic sliced through the water with steady power, her engines humming beneath the feet of more than 2,000 souls. Passengers slept peacefully, unaware that beneath the surface, icebergs drifted silently like floating mountains. Up in the crow's nest, Lookout Frederick Fleet shivered in the cold. He scanned the dark horizon with nothing but his eyes. No binoculars had been provided. The ship sped forward at nearly full power, pushing toward New York with confidence bordering on arrogance. Fleet felt uneasy. Reports of ice had arrived throughout the day, yet the Titanic had not slowed. It was believed she could endure anything. Suddenly, a dark mass materialized ahead, a shadow blocking the starlight. Fleet's heart jolted. He rang the warning bell 3 times and shouted down to the bridge, "Iceberg, right ahead." First Officer Murdoch reacted instantly, ordering the ship to turn and the engines to reverse. But the Titanic was a tremendous structure, moving too fast for such a sudden change. The iceberg's jagged edge scraped along the starboard side with a sound like tearing metal and thunder. Many passengers felt only a subtle vibration, but below deck, the devastation was immediate. Seawater burst into the forward compartments with icy violence, flooding stairwells and storage rooms. Thomas Andrews rushed down to inspect the damage. He moved quickly through the corridors, his face growing more grave with each flooded room he entered. Water poured in too rapidly. The truth struck him with quiet horror. The Titanic could stay afloat with 4 compartments flooded, but 6 were breached. The ship was doomed. Above deck, the crew began uncovering lifeboats as the ship slowly tilted. Most passengers did not believe the danger was real. Some laughed, thinking it was only an exercise. Others wrapped themselves in blankets and waited calmly. After all, the Titanic was unsinkable. But the tilt grew steeper. Panic slowly replaced disbelief. Officers shouted orders, trying to maintain control. Lifeboats were lowered half-empty as confusion and fear spread. Women and children climbed in first while men watched helplessly. The band assembled on the deck, playing gentle music that floated eerily across the freezing air. It was a desperate attempt to keep everyone calm. As the hours passed, the boat disappeared beneath the surface, dragging the stern upward. The great ship groaned like a wounded beast. Lights flickered, then went dark. In the final moments, passengers clung to railings or prayed as the Titanic broke apart, splitting with a roar that echoed across the silent sea. Then, with a final plunge, the giant vanished beneath the icy Atlantic, leaving only cries in the darkness and the chilling reality that even the greatest marvel of human ingenuity could fall in a single night.